Hey guys, this is the man they call Dave. Welcome back to another episode of Unknown Territory, episode 6. Can you believe we've had 6 so far? It's pretty crazy. We got a special guest today named Deanna, and I am here with Amanda as my co-host.
Hey guys, what's going on?
And Deanna, why don't you say hi?
Hi there.
In this particular episode, it's going to have a slightly different format than the rest of them. Normally, we go into news articles and stuff that's in popular media. But tonight, I figured... Hey guys, this is the man they call Dave. Welcome back to another episode of Unknown Territory, episode 6. Can you believe we've had 6 so far? It's pretty crazy. We got a special guest today named Deanna, and I am here with Amanda as my co-host.
Hey guys, what's going on?
And Deanna, why don't you say hi?
Hi there.
In this particular episode, it's going to have a slightly different format than the rest of them. Normally, we go into news articles and stuff that's in popular media. But tonight, I figured, why not get to the nitty-gritty? Why not go full paranormal stories? And I know you guys love those, except these are personal paranormal stories. So, how was your guys' weekend so far?
Mine was excellent. Went to Vermont for the day. My mom and I went to the pizza house. Got some amazing pizza. Bennington Pizza House. Must check it out.
All right. Screw you, because I want amazing pizza right now as much... Just you're blue balling me right now.
All right, well, we'll go next weekend.
I'm sorry, am I the only one who likes anchovy pizza?
I think you are.
Yeah, pretty much.
What's wrong with anchovy pizza?
They're
I'm sorry, it's
fuzzy fish.
freaking amazing.
Yes,
That's what they are. They're fuzzy, salty fish.
They're not fuzzy.
I've tried to like it now.
Alright, I guess I'm the odd man out. If you guys like anchovy pizza, please put it in the comments below, because I gotta tell you, anchovy pizza is the shit.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So, our guest host tonight is Deanna Wolfe, and, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, what you do, how you are, and where all these stories came from that we're going to talk about.
Okay, well, currently a 36-year-old mom of 1, a single mom who has kind of just lived her life as a skeptic. I've never really believed in the paranormal until I experienced it myself. And even then I was a little skeptic. So I might be there with a lot of you. I have lived in some places that have been over 100, 150 years old, and just never really thought much of it until I experienced things myself. And that's where it got interesting.
And that's what we are going to get into tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Interesting stories. Between myself, which you've probably already heard my story about my cat Bradley. You've probably already heard the story from Amanda. But I'm not quite sure. Did you tell the listeners about those footsteps that were in your old apartment that somehow materialized onto the carpet?
No, I never.
That's a good one.
It's a story.
So we're going to focus on that. We're going to skip the news articles for this episode. We're going to get straight into all of it. Sorry to interrupt you, But we got to go into our first break right now, and then we're going to get into the thick of it. Hey everybody, welcome back to Unknown Territory. I am here with Amanda and our special guest Deanna, who's going to be sharing some very interesting paranormal stories with you guys tonight. We might have a couple of our own eventually before the break, but she's got a couple that I think you guys would really love. So why don't you take the floor and start it off?
All right. Well, the first one was most recent, and I was at a friend's house, and she had heard that I basically had some sort of, I don't even know how to explain it. She had heard from an ex of mine that I had some sort of ability to feel presences that had passed on in a home, and she had lived in a house that was over 300 years old. So,
I wish I lived in a house over 300 years old. I can tell you that. I want to own a castle.
Likewise. We're going to buy one.
Well,
it was
no castle. It was a farmhouse, but still,
that's cool. Well, go on. I'm sorry.
It was no.
Keep in mind, we're going to consistently interrupt you.
That's
with
fine.
Cool stuff.
That's
but
fine.
Go on.
No,
I'm sorry.
It was cool. I think it was built in the late 1700s, early 1900s.
Wow.
And she basically brought me in to see if I felt any presences whatsoever. She had heard from multiple people that, you know, there were malevolent presences, things like that. And the second I walked in, the only presence that I felt was an older woman. And the older woman was a bit of a curmudgeon. I felt, as soon as I looked down on the front lawn, I felt a short, stocky, kind of older woman, obviously, short, curly, gray hair, and definitely kind of a curmudgeon. Definitely a woman who was very stern, who was very kind of just grr, and that was the way I explained it to her.
Just grr.
Yeah, just grr. Right.
I want
kind
to
of in
knock
her
your
Like,
teeth out.
right, like kind of that older woman that was just very the man of the house kind of thing. And
So
That's Amanda for you right now. She is the man of the house. I'm sorry.
Well, no, obviously I'm a female, but yeah, I run the show, so.
right. So that, but maybe 100 years ago or so. So I felt her. I felt a short, stocky kind of woman with a bit of a limp almost. And when I mentioned this to her, her eyes got very wide. And she just looked at me and went, wow. And I looked at her and I was like, what? And she said, well, that was probably so-and-so. I hesitate to say the name, but that was so-and-so's grandmother. And I said, did she pass recently, like within the past 2 years, year or so? She said, yeah, she probably passed within the past year or so. I said, okay, so this was her grandma or his grandmother. Was she very proud of the property? Like, did she and her husband build this property? And they said, yes, she did. And I said, was she very proud of something that she did on this property? And she said, actually, she was a hunter. And I said, somewhere out that back door, and I pointed to the back door to the back 40, and I said, she's very proud of something that she killed on this property. Was she a hunter? And she said, yes. Oh, yes, she hunted. She killed a bear on this property, almost to the point where you're pointing right now. She killed a bear less than 40 feet off our back porch. And she and I just looked at each other and got chills. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. I didn't expect to walk into this house and feel anything.
That's
really
crazy. Wow.
It was incredible. And as I was walking out, I said, there's something else she wants me to tell you. And she said, well, is she mad at us for, fixing up the house or redoing the house? I said, no, she's not mad as long as you fix the house. I said, but there's something about painting. Was she a painter, or was there something about painting, something about creativity that she hadn't maybe mentioned that you can think of off the top of your head? And she said, no.
Can I stop you there for a moment?
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely.
Can I stop you there for a moment, just for the listeners? When did you figure out that you were able to sense these things? Like, was it when you were young? Was it when you were old? I'm not trying to stop your story. I'm just very curious as to when you started to
develop these abilities.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, hon.
No,
I took the words right out of your mouth.
Yes, you did.
No, I really, I guessed that I had these abilities when I started to feel things when my mom passed away in 2003. I was 23, almost 24 at the time. So I was mid-20s when I started to feel these things. But I figured, it was just missing my mom or, that kind of thing that really got me into it. So I really didn't attribute it to any sort of special ability. So I really never thought that I had any kind of these abilities.
Almost like a gift that she gave you in a sense. I mean, was it after she passed or during?
Absolutely.
So
absolutely after. Absolutely after. I never had
quite a gift.
I never had any feeling like this
prior
to that. Absolutely not. No.
Well, that's an amazing gift.
Oh, thank you. I'm still not sure
I didn't mean to derail the story.
No,
I was just curious for listeners, like, when did you come up with this? Okay, ability might not be the right word.
Right.
When did you come up with this?
I think it's more of a gift out of more than an ability. I mean, that is an amazing gift.
If you believe in it, I guess it's a gift.
Right. I mean, a lot of us, including myself, I know, Dave, you're skeptic as well, and that's fine.
I've always been a bit of a skeptic. I've really never believed in it, and that's why I hesitate to call it any sort of a gift or ability, but I don't know what else to call it when I walk in a place and I feel male or female and I can tell what they look like. I mean, that's and I can say it to the person and they acknowledge it.
Right.
That was, I mean, I walked into this place thinking, oh yeah, okay, I'm not going to feel anything and I'm just going to BS this person or, you know, like I wasn't trying to do any of that, but it really felt like I looked out the front window and I saw in my mind's eye this short, stocky, curly-haired, gray-haired woman kind of glaring at me.
I like that term, mind's eye. It kind of backtracks to the third eye aspect of things, of being able to sense things that are not there.
See, that's the difference between you and I. I'm very empathic. I can sense different energies, but I cannot visualize to the extent that you can, which is amazing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I really, until I lived in a house that was technically quote-unquote haunted, and I didn't know until after I moved in that it was, that was the first time that I really felt like, okay, maybe these feelings are relevant. Maybe they really do mean something.
Right.
You know, and about 2009, that's when I started to feel these things and pay attention to them and take stock in them.
As my grandmother and several others, they have always told me, pay attention to your gut.
Absolutely.
Go with your gut.
Yep.
Go with your instincts.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but about this woman, I saw the curly gray hair. I felt that she was kind of a stern woman or curmudgeon.
I love that term, curmudgeon.
I know.
I really do. It's such an old school term.
But it really is true.
Like
I mean,
yeah,
just kind of
pissed off at the world.
Yeah, just, you know, she didn't have a lot to be happy about. She was an older woman. She worked hard her whole life, and she was the man of the house, the one who wore the pants, basically, when it came to the actual house.
Yet again.
You know, the man went out into the field and did his thing, and then came home and was taken care of. So this woman took care of the children, she took care of the house, she took care of the cooking and cleaning and, you know, the killing of major animals, apparently. That was the one thing that I had mentioned to her as I walked out into the living room, or from the living room into the kitchen, was that this woman was very proud of one specific thing that she did on this property, and it was out that back door, and I pointed to the back glass door, and she said she was a hunter and she killed a freaking bear on this property. And I looked at her and we both got chills instantly. Like, I looked at her arm, she looked at my arm, and we both had, you know, even as I speak, I get, you know, goosebumps. It was really freaky to feel that kind of feeling and to see the acknowledgement on her face. You know, that was not something I was used to by any means. I had felt these feelings before, but nobody had ever been there to say, yes, I acknowledge those. You know, she was just, she acknowledged everything. She was very stern. She was short. She had curly hair. She had a limp. She was very stern. And I said that I felt she was very happy that there was a new baby there. And she said, you know what? She said, the only time we feel light and happiness in this house is in the living room when the little baby girl is there.
Aww.
Well, a lot of spirits, in a sense, connect themselves to infants. They connect themselves. You know, the whole talk about how babies can see things that adults can't.
Absolutely.
Such as how, you know, when I was a little child, and no, I'm not getting into a big story, but such as how when I was a little child, I used to think that there was something behind my dresser.
Mm-hmm.
I thought something was, you know, in my room or is going to come in through my bedroom door in my first house that I own. They say that kids are just spiritually, pardon me, in tune to spiritual energies that adults are not.
I think they're closer to the spirit realm because they are very little far removed.
Yes, they're
if you
innocent.
put it that way.
They're innocent given the fact that they're so young and they're able to pick up on these certain things as to where we can't because, yes, we are older and we've
Our
done
mind is filled with more BS.
Exactly.
Basically, yeah.
So
Absolutely.
Amanda, you got the floor between the two of you at this point.
Oh, yes. Well, eventually.
Well,
Eventually I do want to get into my apartment, but I want you to finish your story as well.
No, what I mean is if you have anything to talk to her about, so you can get your voice known. So, you're not... Amanda's standing here the whole time. I don't want to be the only one talking. You're my co-host here.
Oh, yeah.
But go on, Deanna.
No, you had mentioned about your apartment, and I was very
yes.
interested in hearing about that.
Yes.
So
I think we should save that one for after the break.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Let's do this one after the break.
They tease us with these things. They tell us about these scary stories or paranormal stories, and they make us wait.
You weren't done with your story yet.
Well, basically, I mean,
we don't tease the listeners too much.
I don't want to tease the listeners. I am here to tell the story.
Wrap up your story, we'll get into it.
Basically, I felt these presences. It was a shock to both of us, and I was amazed by the reaction that I got when I felt these things. That they were right on, and she validated everything that I had felt. And that was incredibly, I guess, validating to me, but I felt vindicated in the fact that, okay, all of these things that I had been feeling over the past 5, 6, 10 years may actually have been true. I may not have just been imagining them in, like I said earlier, my mind's eye or what have you, but that they might actually have been real. And I'll tell you more about that in a minute.
All right, ladies and gents, we're going to go into our second break right now. You are listening to Unknown Territory here with the man they call Dave, Deanna, and Amanda. And don't worry, Amanda, you will be getting your shot. So, hang in there and enjoy some royalty-free music, and you know how I love saying that. Hey everybody, this is Christopher Walken welcoming you back to Unknown Territory. It's gonna be crazy on the end of this, so I'm gonna give it up to Deanna and Amanda for a little bit while I go take a snooze.
Well, hey everybody. Looks like it's Deanna and I. Back with some more paranormal stories. Personal encounters.
So basically, I guess what I was looking to kind of get into was a house that I lived in 2008.
Oh.
It was in Lansingburg, so a local story. And it was a house that was built in 1790s. And I didn't know anything about the house when I moved into it. But yet the day that I moved in, I was speaking with the landlord and a current tenant whose initials were also the same as mine and also is the same as the previous owners, which I found out later. I'll tell you about that later. But But
that's crazy.
It was
same initials?
Same initials as 3 previous people who had lived there.
Damn.
So not only myself,
Wow.
but someone who would currently live there and the woman who originally owned the house.
Now, what was the name of the woman that originally owned the house?
Her name was Deborah Whipple.
And you're Deanna Wolfe, go figure.
So DW, and another
crazy.
DW lived there at the time that I moved in.
Oh, no way.
So she apparently thought that people with the name DW were good people to live there. I don't know.
Well, hey, that's a good thing then. You were more than welcomed.
I was actually very welcomed. It was very strange. As I was speaking with the landlord, whose name was Mike, and the other guy who lived there, his name is Daryl, we started talking about the property and just how old the house was and what have you. I happened to be standing in front of a very old staircase. Very old, beautiful wooden staircase going up to the 2nd floor. And as I kind of looked out of the corner of my eye as I was talking to them about the current, living situations, what have you, I have a bedroom and this and that, the other thing. It's on the 2nd floor and, we share heat and hot water and all the, legitimate stuff.
Oh, nice.
I happened to feel or sense or see, I personally think I saw her, a woman in a black gown from neck to ankle, basically a black gown with a little white rounded collar and a white cap over her gray hair.
Oh, wow.
And she was going up the stairs and she was motioning me to come up the stairs. And I looked at the landlord and the current tenant and I looked at them as to say, did you just see that? And they didn't mention anything, so I didn't say anything.
Right.
But I saw it. So as soon as they stopped talking to me, I said, okay, do you mind if I go check up the upstairs? So I went up the stairs and I walked up and I said, as soon as I walked up, I said, that's supposed to be my room, right? And they looked at me and they went, well, yeah, that's the only room that's unrented. So I walked in the room and I said, this was the servants' quarters, wasn't it?
Oh, wow.
And
they're probably like, how did you know that?
Right. The landlord was kind of looking at me like, well, yeah, I guess,
Like, who told you this?
Right. Like, did you do history on the property or something?
Did you know somebody that lived here prior?
No.
So, yeah.
I knew nothing about the property.
No, I believe you.
Except that it was a
probably
beautiful old house in
Yeah.
Lansingburg for really cheap. So, and I needed an apartment at the time.
Right.
I moved in, kind of sight unseen. I didn't know anything about the place. But after moving in, I felt kind of a lighthearted presence, almost like a servant and their child. Like kind of like a childlike presence in that room. It always wanted me to play, always wanted to play music. Whenever I was sad or upset or quiet, I didn't feel comfortable in the room. So I actually would leave and go somewhere else and do something else. So that was fine with me, whatever. But whenever I was in the room, I felt like I needed to entertain. Very strange.
Entertain how so?
And by entertain, I mean play music, dance, play, do something
happy.
Right, exactly. Basically do something happy. And I had no child at this time.
Right.
I had never had a child. I know nothing about children. I was an only child myself.
And by the way, not to interrupt, this is
right.
Lansingburg, New York, correct?
Oh, yeah. No,
Okay.
absolutely. It's right on the corner of 111th and 1st, actually. So
Okay.
it's right across from Powers Park.
Oh, nice.
Which leads into
I've
my
heard of
stories.
that.
Okay.
Nice.
A lot of people have heard of
Some
Powers
listeners
Park.
might not have known that it was New York State.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
no, absolutely. I'm sorry. Lansingburg, New York.
No, it's fine. Just for listeners, it's just to correct. There are other Lansingburgs out there.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely, I'm
Which
sure.
one?
Yes, no. This was about Lansingburg, New York, and it was the house across from Powers Park. Well, I found out later, as I begin to feel things more and more living there. I've lived there for 6 months. I've lived there for 8 months. I've lived there for almost a year.
Mm-hmm.
So as I'm living there, I'm like, you know what? I keep feeling these things, and they won't go away. and I need to find some sort of validation. It's an old house. I keep feeling these things. What am I going to do about it but go to the archives in Albany?
Oh, wow.
So I go to the actual archives in Albany late in the afternoon, 4 o'clock on like a Thursday afternoon. I go up there with a friend of mine and I say, this is what I want to look up. This is the address. This is the time frame. Can you help me out?
Right.
They went out of their way to help me find the information for this house.
Oh, that's awesome. Not
And
many people do that.
Exactly. It was almost kismet. I walked in, and the first book that I open up to a page, and I see the woman that I saw walking up the stairs.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
I'm getting chills as I talk about it. Like, I saw the black dress, the little white collar.
Was it a picture or a painting?
Oh, yeah. No, it was an
a
actual picture
Okay.
of her from 18, whatever.
Right.
Right before she gave the house over to whoever it was that bought it next. But it said in it that she was D. Whipple, which was her married name. D. Powers. D. Powers was her married name. D. Whipple was her maiden name.
Okay.
So D.W.
was her maiden
initials.
Yep.
Same as the other 3 people that lived there, or other 2 people that lived there at the time when I moved in.
Very nice. Wow.
Very freaky.
That is like beyond coincidental. Coincidental is an understatement in that sense, but
the weirdest part was that I happened to go to Oakwood Cemetery. It was a beautiful weekend.
Oh, I've been there before.
Memorial Day weekend. I happened to be walking through. I've always loved cemeteries. I've always
too.
loved them very
I'm the
comforting.
same way.
Some people get...
Very peaceful.
Yeah.
To
some
me,
people,
it's very peaceful.
Absolutely. Some people get weirded out by the, cold gray stones or what have you. The part that freaks me out most is
the Oogie Boogie.
Right. No,
That's what I like to call the Oogie Boogie.
Right. The Oogie Boogie doesn't freak me out.
No.
The part that freaks me out are the fake flowers.
Oh, yeah. That is...
Like, does that
beyond
reflect...
tacky. Yeah.
Does that reflect their sentiment? You know what I mean?
It's like, oh, okay, so I was fake, essentially. Like, how would you like it if somebody put fake flowers on your grave? Be like, yeah. So that, essentially that's defining me as a fake person in life. Thank you very, very much.
Right. And we certainly don't mean to offend anybody by
Right.
that statement, but that was just my opinion.
I agree.
When I walked
No offense.
when I walked into the cemetery that was the first thing I noticed. But I happened to stumble, and not even trying to, I happened to stumble upon D. Powers.
Oh,
And
wow.
no, it gets weirder.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. No, it was 101 years later to the day of her death.
Her death. Wow. Okay.
And I happened to be living there at the time, like 101 days to your death. I happened to stumble upon your gravestone, and there you are.
By the way, I'm living in your bedroom.
Right.
essentially.
By the way, I'm living in your bedroom. How you doing?
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice
that's-
to meet you.
Right. Like, I almost want to shake her ghostly hand. Like,
Yeah.
how freaky is that?
Right?
It was just so weird that, I had to find out more. So, like I said, I went to the historical documents. I found out she lived from 1791 to 1890. Mm-hmm. I happened to go there 101 years to the day of her death, and found out that she was the first woman to ever own a business. Granted, at that time, it had to be under her husband's name.
Right.
So she put it under D. Powers and Sons, which were her and her son's names.
Oh, nice.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In order to make it, quote unquote, legitimate
Right.
by the New York state laws and federal laws and whatever at that time. But they were an oilcloth distributor. So they took regular canvas, basically, coated it in oil, put it on boats, and sent it down the river.
Oh, that
Which
is
was
awesome.
right next to my house.
Now that is interesting.
That is.
That was so
amazing.
cool.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Well, also considering the fact that if anybody smoked on that said boat down the river, that Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking her husband might have smoked because that's how he died.
Oh, lung cancer.
No.
No?
He burned up in a fire.
Oh!
On the property.
Well, okay, there we go.
Well, that explains
I can't
it
say
then.
anything anymore.
Yeah. He burned in in the fire on the property.
Oh my god.
So while he was curing one of these huge oilcloths, I assume suspended from the second story all the way down to the floor, I mean, that's the only way that they could have done it back then, was hanging a big sheet like this, you know?
Right.
And there was a mysterious fire that killed him. And that's why she dedicated the park across from her house to D. Powers and Sons, or Powers Park.
Mm-hmm.
And that was her husband's,
Aww.
Legacy, was to leave
Very
this
nice.
beautiful park, which was originally part of their property, but because Route 2?
Yeah, is it Route 2 in Lansingburg? It's Route 2, right? I think.
Head straight into Troy, whatever it is, it became Powers Park. I just thought that was incredible. And to this day,
That's beyond incredible. That is absolutely amazing. And,
to this day, I've never gotten beyond that fact. And whenever I walk into an old property, I actually acknowledge the feelings now. So I guess my main point is, if you're feeling these feelings and you feel like they may be unvalidated, go someplace
and research.
Exactly.
It makes sense. And that's amazing. I mean,
You
go
know,
figure.
You can go down to the archives in Albany at any point, research any property at any point, and find out what you're looking for.
Well, wow. That is awesome. Oh, yes. And to get into, speaking of old apartments and stumbling across certain things, I happened to live in an apartment a few years ago, back in, say, 2014. Guilderland, New York. It was an old apartment complex. The creepy thing is, one night I went out to dinner with my mother. I came back, and I noticed these weird, really weird, really dark footprints. And, I obviously locked my apartment and stuff. And, I mean, these were old school. Like, the shoes and stuff, they weren't your common typical sneaker or hiking boot or whatever, running shoe. So I knew for a fact that nobody was in my apartment. I locked all of the doors, all of the windows. I had my cat, and yeah, I mean, I was overprotective. I'm very overprotective of my animals, so. But that was just downright creepy. And given the fact that this apartment complex was very old, and the shoe prints looked very old, I just was like, okay, what is going on here? Who lived here prior? Obviously, there was a lot of people that lived here before me, but these were very, very old. So that is one of my paranormal stories that are...
Not to mention the fact...
Unexplained, yes.
No, not to mention the fact that nobody was wearing any muddy shoes.
No, and I've said that. I mean,
what I
said
would
that.
call taproom shoes.
Yes. Your typical, 30s, 40s shoes, yes.
So were they ladies' feet? Would you say they were narrow? Were they...
I got more of a male foot off of that. Like I said, I am empathic to certain energies. However, I cannot visualize, but I got more of a male presence off those shoe prints.
Okay. Did you get pictures?
Next question. I did. They are on my old. I am on my old. They are on my old phone. So
that's awesome.
Yes.
We need to see those.
Yes, I will eventually
post those.
I have to charge my old phone. Hopefully it still works. Hopefully the battery and everything's still intact. I know it's extremely dusty, probably buried under a bunch of crap on my dresser. So as all of our old phones, right. Unless you're the type to go to the phone store and recycle. So yeah.
Right. Exactly. Well, that sounds awesome. I can't wait to see those pictures.
Yes.
I wish I had pictures of my experience. Unfortunately, I don't. But any experiences I have from now on, I will absolutely, without a doubt, be sure to photograph.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Simply because I take stock in them now.
Because
even though I'm a skeptic,
right.
I have had experiences that make me...
You've had many experiences.
Well, yeah, I've had enough to know that I don't know.
Right.
You can't tell whether it's real, whether it's not, whether it's imagined, whether it's whatever. You need to trust your gut.
Yep, that's what
That's the number one thing. Your gut is there for a reason, and if you don't trust it, I bet you find that you make the wrong decisions.
Oh yes,
in the end.
I definitely can attest to that.
Okay.
And I was skeptic of my own gut, and yeah, bad things happen when I did not pay attention to my gut. But yes, anyway, to wrap things up.
Are we sure we want to do that at this moment? Because you guys have been going on for quite a while now, and it's quite interesting.
Oh yeah, we can't shut up.
Hey, we're only at the 40-minute mark. We can go a little bit more, but before we do that, let us take a break, if you don't mind, ladies and gentlemen. This is Unknown Territory. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Unknown Territory, and I had a couple of things that my mom wanted me to tell me, but I'm just joking. So we're gonna go into this nice little segment, which you guys know before. It's called Would You, and I'm going to be doing it with our guest host today.
Woo!
Yeah!
Why don't you say your name again as a last thing, because we're gonna be wrapping this up shortly.
My name is Deanna, and apparently I'm going to be doing this. Would you?
It's called Would You.
Okay.
Would
you?
Would you?
Would I?
I'm gonna give you a dilemma, and you need to say whether you would or you wouldn't.
Okay.
The first two are from my little iPhone app. The other three, series of 5 questions, are just off the top of my head.
Oh, okay. It should be fun.
So, your first dilemma.
Okay.
You can stop time whenever you want.
Ooh.
You can move around and do whatever you want while time is stopped.
Mm-hmm.
But
Uh-oh.
you age 5% faster when time isn't stopped.
Oh, God. So would I stop time or would I not stop time is the question?
No, you can stop time whenever you want.
Right. But the
You
question
can move
is,
around, do
would
whatever
you?
you want, but yeah, it's a would you scenario.
So pretty
Would
much
you?
a yay or a nay. Would you stop
Would you
time
go
or would
for
you
it?
not?
Would it...
Except whenever you don't stop time, you're aging 5% faster.
Whenever I don't stop time, I'm aging 5% faster.
Yes.
Well, then, yes, I'd stop time all the fucking time. I'm a female. Of course I don't
But that
want
would
to age
stop everything.
faster.
How are you going to eat? I mean, think about it. You got to rationalize this.
Oh, All right.
If you stop time, that stops everything. Everybody around you, everything that's
Right.
going on. You can walk around, and Amanda and myself would be like this.
Yeah, that's
Frozen. Okay.
Boring. Like the Discover commercial with when she freezes the people in the Discover commercial.
Yeah, just the freeze it thing.
Okay,
It's like, yeah,
so
that's
I
pretty
would do
boring.
it at a couple hours at a time. After I ate breakfast, after I ate lunch, after I ate dinner. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
So you'd say yes to this.
Oh, yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
I would say no.
Why?
I would not want to stop time.
Ever?
Never. No. Unless I was like in an emergency crisis and I needed everybody to just pause.
Well, that was the thing.
That would be the only reason as to why I would freeze time if I had that ability.
I work in the city, so I'm sure that at some point between 6 and 9 and noon, I could find someone that needed my help, and I could help them, and they would never know.
That does make sense, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I could be the invisible Superman that could swoop in, save the day, save the baby from the train, save the guy from the tracks.
See, this is what happens, ladies and gentlemen, when you're using an iPhone app.
See, I never thought of that.
Damn those ads.
Point. You make a good point. You can save people. So, yeah, in that sense, to save people from their potential fate, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's
moving
move
on.
on there.
All right,
Let's move on a little
more
bit.
dilemmas.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
here's your second dilemma. That is iPhone. Yeah. By the way, I think I'm going to go back to Android after this.
Oh,
Just
iPhone.
my thing. But
God
anyway.
bless you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love me my Droid.
Yeah, I don't know why I did that.
I
but,
love Android.
Yes.
Okay, here's your dilemma.
Hell yeah.
All right.
You learn the meaning of life and gain all the knowledge in the world.
Ooh.
But
Uh-oh.
you can never tell anybody about it or use it for anything that benefits you, yourself, or anybody else.
What the hell's the point?
I have to say no. Yeah.
You would say no to that.
Well, what the hell's the point? Like she said, if you can't use yourself and your own knowledge and everything you've gained to influence yourself or other people, then what the hell's the freaking point? Yeah.
Well, you'd know it yourself, but you couldn't use the knowledge that you had to benefit
no.
yourself or anybody else.
No. Absolutely not. No. No. And
All
I would
right,
love
so that's
that
a
ability.
one yes and a
Trust
one
me.
no.
Trust me, I would love that ability, but there's no way. No. Especially not because
No.
to have all that, yeah.
So there's 2 no, and 1 yes, unless you're against it too.
I am not.
Oh.
No. I am a third party in this. I do not answer the questions
posed. I'm curious
posed.
as to what
The
you're...
two of you answer the questions, not me. Okay. So now here comes
So
the
apparently
question.
he just expects us to appreciate the air he breathes. He is too good for our questions or his own questions.
All right, look, go back and find Donald Trump and get in one of his rallies. Why don't
God,
you?
no. Oh, I don't want to get political. Let's not go there.
No.
Thank God.
Okay.
Anyway,
So, moving on.
my last 3 questions are ones that I'm going to create in my head right now.
Oh, heaven help us.
These are the people we have on the show, ladies and gentlemen.
Hell yeah. Can't get any better than this.
Woo!
All right.
All right.
Posing to the 2 of you.
Okay.
One of the last 3. You can teleport at any time to any place in the world that you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And back to your current location. But every time you do so, you can never go back to where you teleported from again.
Oof.
Well,
Do it.
yeah, do it.
Stay as
I
long
mean,
as you freaking want.
Pretty much. There's so much to explore. But then, what if you run out of places to explore? Then what? What happens then?
Then you
See,
come
that's a
back.
good thing.
I mean, there's only so much that you can explore unless you do have that ability to start all over again.
Very
You
interesting.
know, I wonder how that would work out.
See-
But I would say yes. Let's go for it, even if you can't return to that said spot.
See, I'm thinking of someone and someplace specific. So therefore, you know what I mean? I'm
Right.
thinking, hell freaking yeah.
Yeah.
I just,
And you just
never
stay
come
there.
back.
You
Right,
never
and stay
leave.
there as long as I possibly could.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean everyone would.
True. Other people would want to venture out and, you know, go see other places, which I would be that type.
Okay, say you're sitting here right now in the studio. You're sitting right here and you're like, okay, I want to go see Dubai. You can go to Dubai and come back, but you can never go back there again.
I'd be absolutely okay with that.
Yeah. Stay
I
there.
would go to Bora Bora for as long as it Bora Bora'd me.
Yeah. stay there long enough until it bores the crap out of you.
Yes, exactly.
Bora, bored.
Right, exactly.
Yep, enough is enough. Moving on.
Right. And then I would come back from the Maldives and be A-okay with the Adirondacks.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Don't even get me started on the Maldives. Just please don't. It's like going to Fiji.
Have you seen Fiji after the freaking hurricane that they had?
No, I've seen it.
Let's not talk about Fiji. I feel so bad.
Different story, different day.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
All right, second to last question. And these are each going to get progressively more interesting.
Okay. Done.
You have the ability to fly anywhere you want at any given time. But every time you do, you shit your pants.
Oh, God, no.
Oh, that's uncomfortable.
No. Wait, do I shit beforehand or after?
Or during.
Or during?
Every time you go to fly, you can fly like
Imagine
Superman.
having a load in your pants as you're flying. Oh my god.
You can fly
very
anywhere.
Important
That's pretty awkward.
point.
Like Superman, but every time you take flight, you shit yourself.
Okay, so every time I instantly take off from the ground, I'm like, holy fuck.
Yep.
Oh god.
Nope.
But you can fly anywhere without any restriction.
That would be an uncomfortable ride, ladies
Negative.
and gentlemen.
That's a
I
negative,
don't
Ghost
think I
Rider.
would go
The
for that.
pattern is full.
I
No
like
pun
the
intended.
Ghost Rider reference.
I mean, unless you wear some like heavy duty D-pens where you can't really feel. But I would still pass on that, man. I would still pass on that. That is an uncomfortable ride.
Yeah.
Oh, that would just be too.
It always depends, right?
Yes. No pun intended there.
All right.
Bum.
Now we're going to go into the last question for a slightly more dramatic, slightly more thought-provoking last question before we wrap up Unknown Territory tonight. You have the ability, by touching somebody, to cure them of all their ailments.
Mm-hmm.
But you take their ailments from them onto yourself.
Well, no, because, you take on those ailments, who's to say you're not going to end up dying, and then you'll not be able to cure people. I mean, I don't know, either way you look at it, yeah, you're curing the person taking on the ailments, but eventually it's going to catch up with you, and you're going to kick the bucket, and then there's going to be no healer whatsoever.
Okay, let me rephrase the question, because
rephrase it a tad.
Because that can mean a majority of things. Let me rephrase that so it's not so general.
It's very ambiguous.
So
yes.
it's not so general and less ambiguous, like you just said. Say you have a friend that is addicted to cigarettes or addicted to alcohol or any of that. You could cure their addiction, but you would gain them. You would gain a necessary urge to do that.
What do you mean? Be a little bit more specific.
Instead of an ailment or an illness,
Okay.
let's go with addiction.
Oh God.
Let's
That's
go
a
with an
completely
addiction.
different story.
Yeah, let's go with an
Yeah.
addiction. If you could take somebody else's addiction that's harming them off of them, such as cigarette smoking, alcohol,
Heroin.
anything. Well, hey, we don't need to get into specifics. It's
Okay.
just a generalization.
Yeah, but think about it.
But yet you would gain that addiction yourself. You're going to want to fulfill that as well. Would you do that for somebody? Like, would you say, I would take that away from them and take upon that burden? And this comes in, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, to something I plan on talking about next week. It is something called the Sin Eater, which I'm fairly certain that certain listeners of ours will know something about. Just a little hint for next week's show.
Yeah, well, that's going to be an interesting one. However, I don't think I mean, it depends on the person. If it's a close family member that I do truly care about, then I would say yes. But if it was a stranger and I have no emotional investment in that said person, then probably not. So, I mean, I guess pretty much, in my opinion, it's based on the person.
It would be based on the person for myself, but do I know anything about their future? Do I know that this person is going to change the world? Do I know that this person might cure cancer?
Right.
Do I know that this person might become the next president of the United States or change the world and stop World War III or what have you? It absolutely depends, you know, whether I would risk my life for them or not. And there are plenty of people out there who risk their lives for us every day. Thank you very much. I truly do mean that and believe that.
Do.
Absolutely.
Again, thank you.
Thank you
all of our servicemen, police officers, firemen, all of them.
Yep.
Because, trust me, I've been saved on many occasions by anybody who serves to help.
Yep. Absolutely.
And likewise, thank you all.
Thank you. But, at the same time, I guess I would want to know whether my sacrifice would mean
would be
something.
worth it.
Right.
Okay, so that's an ambiguous answer then. All right, we're going to go into one very last one to kind of lighten the mood.
Okay.
I'm going to put a lighten the mood on that one.
Okay.
So, you will never have to sneeze for the rest of your life.
Ooh, I like that one.
But
having a head cold myself right now, I like that one.
But
okay, but
instead of sneezing, your body is rewired to fart every time you wanted to sneeze.
Hell no. Nope.
Nope.
I'm good.
I don't mind sneezing, so I think I'll skip on that as well.
So you never sneeze again, but your mind is rewired to trigger,
fart
instead of a sneeze, it's a fart. At any given time.
I think I'll stick with the sneezing. Because sometimes I actually enjoy sneezing in the most awkward moments and just interrupting people when...
You scare me when you sneeze, because you're so damn loud.
And I do happen to exaggerate my sneezes, which is, you know, those said awkward moments when I was like, yes, a sneeze is coming on, perfect timing. Achoo! Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you don't chew. You sound like a volcano exploding.
I do, and it's epic, so yes.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think because I'm just the opposite. I think because my sneezes sound semi-normal, but my farts sound like a duck. That I'm constantly turning around and saying, where's that invisible duck? I've even got my 2-year-old son saying, where the is that invisible duck?
My uncle calls them Australian barking spiders.
Speaking
yes, there you go.
Invisible ducks, we have our dog right here who actually
you have no idea what this chick.
Invisible duck.
Just darked.
Oh yes,
at
I'm
us.
pretty good at farting.
Okay,
I can outdo a 300-pound man. So.
Yes, she can. You have listeners. Sorry for the vulgarity. You have no idea.
I don't mean to offend anybody. I'm just stating the truth here. So if anybody wants to go against me with, for a farting competition, farting contest, whatever, I am all for it. Game is on.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a very funny, very interesting, unknown territory podcast. We're going to leave you off with this, and next week we're going to have something that probably won't have to do with farting.
Don't forget the D-pads!
Alright, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the man they call Dave, here with Amanda, and we have...
Deanna.
There we go. And we will see you next weekend. Hope you enjoy.
Hey, Jojo, yeah, I know your name. Thought I saw you jump the Utah train, but I could not say, I could not say. Heard you tried to keep your hat on a shelf. Married a woman, went off and loved someone else. disappear. Oh, because the story I heard is the people are born and the measures you take just to wrestle your Lord. All the measures you fake, whether you're dead or just still. Will he measure your time? Will he measure your will? Oh, now. One of these mornings will be. One of these mornings will be.
And by the way, guys, Amanda is planning on setting the Guinness Book of World Records for not only the loudest, but the longest fart ever recorded.